stop what you're doing and listen carefully. If you, or someone you love, is waiting for a U.S. immigrant visa outside the United States, this update can change your timeline overnight. People are walking into U.S. embassies, completing immigrant visa interviews, hearing words that sound like approval, and then leaving with no visa in their passport. Not because they were denied, not because they were missing documents, but because immigrant visa issuance has been paused for nationals of 75 countries. If you misunderstand this, you could make the wrong move. By quitting a job too early, sell a home too soon, pull a child out of school, or book travel that becomes impossible. In the next few minutes, I'll explain what changed, who is affected, who is not, what to do right now, and what to watch next, clearly, calmly, and based on official guidance. This is not legal advice. This is clear information to help you protect your plans. Let's dive into today's headline breakdown in Immigration Update. Welcome back to U.S. Immigration News Daily, your trusted source for immigration news. Today's up-to-the-minute updates that matter for immigrants, students, workers, families, and employers. In the next few minutes, we'll break down the latest verified immigration developments from the most recent update. Here is the confirmed change. The U.S. Department of State announced a pause in the issuance of immigrant visas for nationals of 75 countries, effective January 21, 2026. And let me be precise. This does not necessarily mean interviews are stopped. It does not mean your case disappears. It means immigrant visas are not being issued, meaning not being printed and placed into passport for affected nationals during this pause. The State Department indicates certain processing steps may continue, including interviews, but the final issuance step is paused during a review period. So if you hear, everything is canceled, that's not accurate. And if you hear, nothing changed, that's not accurate either. The truth is, the finish line is temporarily closed for some applicants, even after they've done most of the process. Here's what visa issuance paused really means. In a typical immigrant visa case processed outside the U.S., you submit the application, submit documents, complete medical and background checks, attend the interview, and if approved, the embassy issues the visa. Issuance is the final step when the consulate prints the visa and places it in your passport. Without that step, you cannot travel to the United States as an immigrant. So during this pause, your case can be reviewed, your interview can still happen, and an officer may even indicate approval, but the visa may still not be printed into your passport. The simplest way to understand it is this: you can be cleared at the gate, but the gate isn't opening. Now, who is affected? This pause applies to immigrant visas, visas that lead to lawful permanent residence after entry. That typically includes family-based immigrant visas, employment-based immigrant visas, and diversity visa cases. So if your case is being processed at a U.S. embassy or consulate outside the United States and you are a national of one of the affected countries, this policy may apply to you. Family cases include spouses, children, parents, and other preference categories. Employment cases include workers with approved immigrant petitions and real job offers. And diversity visa cases involve lottery winners under strict timelines. One more important point. Official guidance notes that dual nationals may be treated differently depending on which passport they use. This is not legal advice, but it is something you should confirm using official information and, if needed, qualified counsel. What is not affected? This specific action is focused on immigrant visa issuance overseas. It does not automatically apply to non-immigrant visas like tourist visas, student visas, exchange visas, or temporary work visas, based on the scope described in official guidance. And if you are inside the United States applying for a green card through adjustment of status, that is a USCIS process, not a consular visa issuance process. This report is specifically about consular processing abroad and the issuance step at embassies and consulates. Why is the government doing this? The State Department frames it as part of a review related to standards connected to public benefits usage and financial self-sufficiency, often discussed under public charge concerns. In simple terms, it's a policy review. And what matters for you is this. When something is under review, consular officers often cannot give a firm timeline. That's why people end up in approved but waiting status, because families and employers can plan around dates, but they can't plan around the word indefinite. Now let's talk about what you should do. First, follow official updates. Start with the Department of State announcement and FAQ and compare any rumor you hear to the official guidance before you believe it. Second, monitor your case status on a sensible schedule. Weekly is usually enough. Third, track every critical expiration date, passport validity, medical exams, police certificates, and any other required documents. Fourth, watch your email carefully because missed instructions can create unnecessary delays. Fifth, if you have a sponsor in the United States, keep sponsor documents current and organized so that if issuance resumes and consulates move quickly, you're not scrambling at the last moment. If you already have an interview scheduled, in most cases you should still attend, unless your embassy or consulate tells you otherwise. Skipping an interview can create avoidable problems, and if the officer tells you issuance is paused, keep your questions simple and respectful. Will my case remain approved pending issuance? How will I be notified if issuance resumes? Do you need any updated documents while I wait? Let's recap in plain language. The U.S. Department of State has paused immigrant visa issuance for nationals of 75 countries, effective January 21, 2026. Interviews and other processing steps may continue, but affected nationals may not receive immigrant visas printed into their passports during the pause. This is not automatically a denial, but it is a serious delay, and there is no published end date at this time. If you're affected, comment your visa category, family, employment, or diversity visa, and whether you are pre-interview or post-interview. Subscribe to U.S. Immigration News Daily, turn on notification, and stay informed. This report is informational and not legal advice. For guidance on your personal case, consult a qualified immigration attorney.